Hello, and
Hello.
welcome to Coffee Class special holiday edition.
Hey, ho, ho, ho. Yeah.
Ho, 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 John says.
And I thought you guys would be, I thought you guys would have hats too, since you made such a,
That was never part of the deal.
John, I'm not a hat guy. My
not?
hair is a hat. You know?
Your hair is
There
a
you
hat.
go.
Yeah, my hair is a hat. I just look so horrible with hats.
Oh, okay. Well, as you can see, I'm quite becoming in a hat, as you can, right?
It really works.
Did I speak too quickly for you, Adam? Is that what you were going to say?
That's
Adam?
exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. I have to prompt him. Okay. I have to write his dialogue.
You have to prompt your praise. It's the only
Right,
way
prompt praise. And by the way, I'm not shy about doing that.
I'm looking great
all.
today, don't I, Adam?
Do I
Don't I look great? Yeah, you look great.
Yeah.
That should be a year-round look for you.
It might be. It might be. Yeah, I think it's pretty.
It's pretty great.
Good. Yeah.
Damn. So
Great.
today we're doing one of the most requested coffee. I know. One of the most requested Coffee Class films, Die Hard, which, is it a Christmas movie? Is it a Christmas movie, John? What do you think?
It happens during the Christmas season. I would say that. Yeah.
Do you know
that's a fact.
The moment that convinced me that it was a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
There were two moments. One was the when he killed the first guy and put the Santa hat on the corpse.
Oh yeah, that's a big Christmas motive right
and
there. Yeah.
The second time was when Ode to Joy cued when they opened the vault.
Oh yeah,
that was that moment was kind of was like they're leaning into this a little bit, just a little bit.
I looked up that it came out in July though, or something.
Did it?
I looked this up, and I need to look again just before I say. I already said it live, so it's too late.
You can't take no takebacks on that.
But I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God, you're right. July 15th.
Is it a Christmas movie? To that, I say probably not, because it came out in July. Christmas in July.
It is marketed as a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
For some people.
This is true.
Do they run it a lot around the holidays? I don't know.
Yes.
It's like it's become. I'd never seen it until Carl's family was like obsessed with watching it every Christmas.
Well, there's a little blame placing right there, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean full blame, not little. 100% blaming him.
Yeah.
But they love it. Yeah.
I think I just want to put my opinion, front load it before John breaks down the movie and brings all his really unique and fantastic observations.
Oh God!
I know you've been working really hard on this.
Oh man, he's really in the giving spirit. No, you're really in the giving spirit. That's great.
But just to front load it with my opinion, I think the movie has problems, but what it does well, it does so unusually well for what it is. Like, this was a dumb action movie, right? And it is.
Yeah, it's a dumb action movie. Yeah.
It is so detail oriented, and it succeeds because of the details. The watch, the picture, the feet, the callback. There are constant callbacks to things, and I feel like
Argyle.
Those details are what make the movie have its power and its lasting. I feel like it's just the movie's very well thought out and very well directed. I do think it has problems, but the details.
Every time I saw them set something up as an obstacle, I was like, John would like that. Like the shoes. I feel like that's probably your favorite detail.
I mean, the shoes were just, the shoes are just so. By the way, you guys cut ahead of what I really want to discuss, which is a good thing. But no, but because I'm glad that thematically we're kind of on the same page without even prompting one another, which might be bad news for all of us because we're thinking alike now, and it might be time for us to go our separate ways. I don't know. But anyway, that said, I will take you, and I've actually, Adam and Alexie, I've got a couple of questions that I'm not sure about with regards to the.
Well, do you want to do your thing?
Story. I'll do my thing. Yeah, I'll do my thing.
There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, just before we go out, Alexie, I didn't do a tent pole for this. But do you have something?
I was working on something. I will see what happens as John talks.
I have not broken down this movie, so I'm curious to. I did
You're
rewatch
exposing yourself. You're not just going to make it up on the spot and stick to your guns.
I'm not going to pretend.
But he's got something in mind. I know that. Yeah.
All
so
right.
let's take us through it. One of the interesting things to know about this is it was released in 1988. So this is really kind of early on. By the way, it's Bruce Willis kind of coming out of his TV career. So let me go through it. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I've got I've got quite a bit to say about the genre and the tone and the style. We meet John. By the way, as I'm sure all of you have figured out way ahead of time or way ahead of me, he's already left his normal world. His normal world is New York City. A big deal made out of that. He's come to California. He thinks it's a weird land. He's a stranger in a strange land. The way that this serves well, as it does for most films, is that he knows no one here except for Holly, but he has no friends in Los Angeles. So he's going to be a man alone throughout the film. That's going to serve him well. We also learn early on, this hat's warm, by the way, but Alexie made such an issue out of it. I could get on my sleigh.
Santa's no dummy.
Yeah, Santa's no fool. So where was I? So we established that he and Holly are separated, that the marriage is going well. He's going to stay somewhere else perhaps while he's there. She's got a soft spot for him. So maybe I've got an extra bedroom, you're going to be in Pomona. Doesn't make sense. He doesn't know where Pomona is. We also could see that she's got a thriving career. It would appear that she's doing quite well, and they've got children and so forth and so on. And he's a New York City cop. So all that's the movie's front loaded in a very, very good way. Argyle, the driver, funny, I guess. Yeah, sure, okay. We meet him. There's a wonderful shot of about 7 pages in where we see the building. So we see the behemoth that we're going to spend really the rest of the movie in, and that will, for all intent and purpose, the building, Fox Plaza is what the actual building is. The building will become his world. So that will become the world that he inhabits, and he doesn't know it. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't know the way around it. That again infuses conflict. He and Holly meet. By page 17, we meet Hans, the bad guy. He arrives. I question why this choice was made. Maybe it probably has a lot to do with 1988, but they're German. They're all the bad guys are German. I don't know. What that is. By page 23, and this, by the way, D'Souza and I'm just blanking on the other writer's name. D'Souza and it'll come to me. They've kind of taken their time getting to the
Jeb Stuart.
Oh yeah, Stuart. Both action guys, both come out of the action world, and they're they've taken their time getting to here. As Alexie already pointed out, I love the fact we know, okay, he's barefoot. Got it. I also, being that Willis had to run around so much in this movie, if you look at it again, or if you ever, if you see it again, you'll notice that a lot of times when he's running, McTiernan makes sure that the camera, you can't see his feet. Because he's running around all the time, and clearly Willis wasn't going to run around day after day after day of the shoot in bare feet and kill himself. So, but he's barefoot. Big point. Yes, there will be glass on the floor. We know, as soon as he takes his shoes off, we're like, okay, who broke the glass? Okay. Anyway, 31. By page 31, they kill Takani. I think that's his name. He's the guy. who owns the building, who runs the company. He's the big deal there. And now we know that, okay, oh my God, these guys are killers. They're tough. They're going to be bad. There's going to be bloodshed. There's going to be high body count. I say that with a laugh because it's an action film, we know. And the audience goes in saying, yes, more bodies, more bodies, more bodies. And they're going to, McTiernan's going to give them to you. McTiernan's the director. He's going to give you plenty of bodies. One of the, and Alexie again alluded to this, Willis, John, pulls the fire alarm. He's trying to get help. He's a man alone in this building, and people won't really respond to the fire alarm, except for it does key Hans, the bad guy. It keys Hans that John's in the building, so they've got to stop him. John fights. He kills some bad guys. Carl, the blonde guy, who, by the way, is Alexander Gutenov, who was, for those of you who may or may not know this, he was a big Russian ballet star. He's actually a dancer, and Bruce Willis kicks his ass in the movie. In real life, he would kick Bruce Willis's ass, but that's the movies. Alexander Gutenov was big ballet star, and how he got cast in this, I have no idea. But anyway, he was. So there's some action. They start building some action. John again can't get anybody to respond to him. No one will take his phone calls, his 911 seriously. All of that stuff. That's beautiful. It's just conflict. And then there's that wonderful moment, which is well into the movie. It's about page 60, somewhere in the 60s. He makes contact with Al. Al's the cop on the ground. Al is key. Al is a great choice. It's a great writer's choice. Arguably, or not even arguably, Al is the mentor. He's there for John. He's the only person who will listen to John. He's the only person who believes in John. And he's John's really only relationship in the movie. John Willis doesn't even have really a relationship at all, and doesn't have a conversation again, which I think is a strange choice, with Holly. Holly's gone. They're separated. They don't interact again until Act 3. So, but Al is the guy. He's the cop down there. I wrote here in my notes, SWAT team arrives. They invade the building. They're not working with John. Actually, they're working against John. And my note here is chaos, screaming, shooting, and music cues. There's a lot of music cues. McTiernan is not shy about saying to the audience, okay, here comes a music cue. In case you didn't know what you should think or feel, I'll tell you with this music cue. I'm going to hit you over the head with it. One of the things, and around about page 77, about page 75, John blows everything up. This is to get everyone's attention, which he does. There's a wonderful beat in here. And again, Adam kind of mentioned this. Ellis is the punk guy who we know has a thing for Holly. We learned that in Act 1. He does coke. He's a bad guy. So in this genre, that a guy like Ellis, who's an unlikable punk, he's going to get killed. He's the guy when Hart Brochner, which I think is the actor's name, got the script and knew early in Act 1 that he was a jerk. I'm sure he knew he wasn't going to make it to the credits, that he was going to get killed before the third act, and he does. He gets shot. We're happy that he gets shot because we didn't like him. If you don't like somebody in an action film, you're allowed to just have them knocked off. The film, by the way, is absurdly long. It's absurdly long. This film made today, they'd cut 30 minutes out of it because there's a lot of time spent, well spent, maybe, with just action stuff. They're running, they're shooting, they're ducking, they're diving. There's an elevator corridor that's empty and fire blows out of it, and you gotta climb down it, and you can't quite get down it. Maybe you can, maybe you can't get up it. You know, all that stuff. It's just a lot of action stuff, and I'm going to talk more about that later. Kind of a nice beat, I think, when John and Hans meet, and Hans switches his accent. John doesn't know who he's dealing with, or does he? And that's when Hans has a gun. He pulls the gun on John, and John knows. He was ahead of Hans. It's a nice little reversal moment there. The gun is empty. Immediately thereafter, and I'm surprised the writer showed great restraint, I think. Willis doesn't get bloody feet until page 99. I would have given him bloody feet by certainly page, or at least a splinter by page 75, but they don't give him bloody feet. And when they do give him bloody feet, I mean, he's going to bleed out. I mean, you know, I mean, his feet are, he's a bloody mess, and he's picking glass. He's very manly. He's very manly because he picks glass, large shards of glass out of his feet, and doesn't so much as wince. He's an action hero. There's another wonderful beat. The lights go out. About page 104, which is really late. Really late. The doors open, and Hans is going to get what he wants. His objective is $640 million worth of bonds. The doors open. He's going to get them. By the way, let me back way up. Willis's objective is to stop the bad guys. That's a great objective. I'm curious to hear from people if it's tangible enough, but it is stop the bad guys. The fact that there are so many bad guys and they're so lethal works in the movie's favor, of course, but it's stop the bad guys. And there's a conversation somewhere in here when the writers were designing this, that they may have said, okay, is he going to try to get the $64 million of bonds? Is he going to try to save that? Which is a little unwieldy, because that's what the antagonist wants. Hope everybody's staying with me with this. It's a little tricky, but this is the kind of question you should be asking. Would it have worked if Willis? Would it have worked if it was a diamond? And Hans wants Diamond. Willis gets Diamond to save Diamond from Hans. They fight over Diamond. You're going to think I'm crazy, but that would have been perhaps a more linear choice. Because if you think about it, the movie's well done. It's a great action film. I guess one of the greatest. But Willis is trying to stop bad guys. He's not really even trying to stop them from getting into the vault. What, you might ask, is Willis doing? And he's not trying to stop them from getting anywhere or getting anything. Anyway, that's maybe a later conversation. It is a valid, I believe, it's my point, so I'm going to say it's a valid point. It's a valid point, a valid question, and again, maybe we'll discuss that if you guys find it at all interesting. That if it were a diamond, if it was a canister of C4, you know, if it was a something that would have given them something more direct to intangible to fight over. I love, and you saw it coming. You see, you know, as I said, probably early in coffee class, it's not our intention, but but we will taking this class, come and see with us every Friday afternoon. We will ruin movies for you forever. So all of you knew, or many of you knew, there's a heartbeat moment, page 105, and it's so late. When Al said, when John says, he's talking to Al, his best friend, his only friend in the world right by now, and he says to Al, "Do you have flat feet?" And he says, "You mean, was I on the beat?" That's a term, you know. Was it that I walked the beat and now I don't anymore? Now I'm in a cruiser and blah blah blah. And he says, and Al says, "I shot a kid. I can't draw a gun. Oh my God. I can't draw a gun." I mean, that's arguably, they give an Al a little flaw, a little something he may have to overcome. He may have to overcome that. And then they play it again, and I think they play it well. They play it again, page 105. John says, another conversation, they're on a radio, another conversation with Al, and he says, "Tell my wife, tell Holly, I'm sorry. I've told her I love her 1,000 times, but I've never told her I'm sorry." That, for all intent and purpose, is the resolution for John's character. For Willis's character, he has realized the errors of his ways. Now, I'm being a little bit devil's advocate here, and again, I hope this inspires a further conversation. When did he earn that? I don't know, because he hasn't seen Holly, but somehow he's had this epiphany during the shooting, running, jumping, and the bloody feet. He's having this epiphany. He's had this epiphany that he should have said, "I'm sorry because I didn't go along with you. I didn't honor your career. I didn't respect you as a woman and as a equal person in our relationship." I love the fact. Oh, I forgot to mention somewhat earlier. John killed Carl's best friend. Carl's the blonde guy, the dancer. He killed Carl's best friend, and Carl says, "I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him for killing my guy," which is action, protocol, I think. And so now John and Carl fight, and it's a great fight, and they fight on the steps, and they bash each other around. It's really quite terrific. And then John gets that chain. I kind of love that beat. He gets that chain around the evil Carl's neck, and hangs Carl. Hangs Carl by a chain wrapped around his neck, breaks his neck. Apparently, we'll find out later, apparently Carl's tougher than we imagine, but he's left hanging from the rafters by a chain around his neck. That's good. Then, of course, Hans gets Holly. I thought this would happen earlier because he knows Holly is John's wife, but finally he gets Holly. The FBI, by the way, is shooting at John. John's still the odd man out. Nobody's helping him. Greater conflict for Johnny. John, the FBI won't help him. The cops won't help him. Everybody hates him, and he's trying to save the damn planet, or at least the building. The ultimate test is quite wonderful. Hans has Holly. Hans has gun. John has nowhere to go. John's rifle or machine gun is empty. He puts his hands over his head, and I'd even forgotten that this was there. I didn't remember this at all. And then he's got a gun taped to his back, taped to the back of his neck, I guess. And so he pulls the gun. He shoots Hans. Great ultimate test. He fights the super bad guy, the uber bad guy. He fights him, shoots him. But Hans, bastard that he is, grabs Holly's hand as he's falling out the window, and he's going to take her with him. But alas, no. John pulls her hands free. She separates from Hans. Hans falls. Great shot, I kind of like that shot. He falls all the way from the Fox Tower. He falls all the way to the ground. and he's dead, because that'll kill you every time. If you fall from the top of the Fox Tower to the cement below, that'll kill you. And then Holly refers to herself. Sorry to laugh. I know you people. I know you love this movie, and I like it. But Holly then at that point refers to herself as Holly McLean or McLean. But she's taking his name back. I guess that is earned. I guess because he saved her life, she says, "Okay, I'll be your wife again." And then we get outside, and wonderfully, as we knew this was going to come, John and Al hug, as they should, because they've been mentor and friend, and they've come a long way, and they've shared a lot of personal details. They have a beautiful relationship. I have a feeling that John and Al will have Christmas together, but that is not left. It's left unresolved in the film, but I'm pretty sure they do have Christmas together. And then, damn, Carl, who I believe has a broken neck, but maybe not, because, and those dancers, you can never tell. Carl shows up. Somehow he got that chain from around his neck and got all the way down 30 flights of steps. And there that son of a bitch is with his gun. And he's still very upset about John killing his friend in early second act. And he's going to seek revenge for that. And he pulls a gun on John. He's going to shoot John, who's holding Holly, which is lovely. And what happens? Al, who couldn't fire a gun, he's corrected his flaw. He not only fires his gun again, he's a pretty darn good marksman, and he blows old Carl away. He kills Carl, and Argyle, that ridiculous or wonderful, depending on your point of view, limo driver, who's a good limo driver, because through it all, he's still there. A lot of times, if you tell your limo driver to pick you up at 9 o'clock or something, and you're not there at 9, and then by 9:20 they're gone. But damned if Argyle, he's still there, and he picks John and Holly up, and they ride off almost into the sunset, and happily ever after. And we think things are gonna work out fine for him. I imagine, and I would place good money on this, that he'll have to have his feet amputated. So he's going to need Holly to push him around in a wheelchair, I'm guessing, but I don't know that for a fact. And that's kind of my take on it. I've got more stuff to say, but why don't we cut back? There you go.
Hey, great
Yay.
job, John.
Huh?
Good job.
Yeah.
You did so good.
Did I? Did I get a gold star?
You got a gold
Totally.
star.
And I was trying to fill out the tentpole document at the same time as you were going, but I'm not gonna lie, I got a little confused about, not because of you, just because of how many things are happening and like what
Well,
is
in any spot, if you don't have like if you have a blank, just put like they shoot and chase.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's an obstacle dense movie. So
It's an obstacle dense genre.
Right.
Yeah.
And like the whole thing, this is one of the things that stood out to me.
I gotta take my hat off for a minute.
You can't do that.
I'm gonna reveal. You may not know this. I don't have any hair. Look at that.
That
Did
wasn't
you know?
what I was expecting.
No, nobody.
I thought I was going to say
thought.
Man,
Now
so
my flaw. Yeah.
unexpected.
One of my flaws. Yeah.
I don't think his inner need is that it's his wife. It's that he needs to accept his wife's career and let go of ego.
Well, I think it's he needs to accept his wife, who's an independent woman.
I gotcha. I can't read that.
I'll zoom in a little bit. But then so it's like, so then what's the thematic question? Is it, should I respect women as independent people? Okay, is that the whole question?
Offline, I made a joke to Alexie right after watching this movie. And the
Adam's
joke
hot take.
my hot take was, so the moral of the story is don't leave your husband for that great job in LA.
Yeah.
Right. That's really the moral of the story. Or else terrorists are going to take over.
Yeah,
your new coworkers are going to get killed, and they're going to take advantage of you, and they're going to try to bribe you, and your husband's going to have to save you. You know, like that.
They're going to give you a Rolex, and then you're going to have to take it off so you don't die. Like,
yeah.
So okay. That joke aside, I think, John, I think you've identified some of the weaknesses of the film, but I feel like you're underrepresenting the best part about this movie.
Do you think I was too nice, maybe, as I frequently am?
No. I think you've underestimated how good Alan Rickman's character is.
Oh, Rickman's good.
But no, not him, but like the Hans Gruber character is like really, they do he has so many great scenes, first of all, but they do a great job of making him really intelligent and have a very clear logic for why this guy is doing things. Like we always understand why he's doing something. We know the thief plot. Like he has great lines because he has great motivation and great, like everything is very like logical, like how he's going to try and strip up the FBI. He's going to put bombs in the roof to kill the people and distract them while they take a truck out the back. You know, like he's very, all of the big set pieces and scenes are enabled because he has a very clear objective that runs counter to John McClane. So both of their objectives in conflict really make the movie, in my opinion. I mean, Alan Rickman's the star. I mean, Bruce Willis is fine, but Hans Gruber is the star of this movie.
Hans is good. Hans is really good.
Really good.
Yeah. Well, he's a more interesting character for sure. Like, yeah, no doubt. But something I was thinking about when I was watching this is like all the obstacles are like shoot, 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 run, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot. But like they do feel varied. Like they change it up enough, and they do the thing like where they're building on stuff. And also they really must like have spent some time looking at air ducts and elevator shafts, because I would not know what to write in those parts about if I was going to have a character crawling around in there.
Yeah.
I think if you rewatched it, John, I think you'd find that it's less shoot than you would initially maybe. Like it's very sensually overloaded. Like it's a very loud movie and there's a lot of violence. But I always got a sense that like it was based on a very specific scenario. Like the guy, the henchmen were after him because he had the C4 in the bag. He has to hide the C4.
Yeah.
And the dancer guy, his brother was killed.
Yeah, so his brother. Yeah, it wasn't just a friend. Yeah, his brother was killed. So I'm going to kill you. By the way, all of that. Let me. I'm sorry, Adam. Go ahead. I think I interrupted you.
No. That's all I was going to say.
I
think the logic of the film is thought out.
By the way, so that's what I want to say. And let me just ramble for one more or two more seconds. So I made some notes to myself that I just want to hit on. It's an action film. The genre is action, and the discipline of this film, of this genre, arguably more than any other genre, is to invent larger and larger and larger obstacles, and invent them with such pace that it's just overwhelming. And I think this film does a really good job at that. The writers are they're cognizant of this fact. Once I do think the film's too long, and I think they don't really hit it into gear early enough. Again, if this is 1988, this film was remade now. Rickman's character would come in much earlier. The action would take place much earlier. But if you like action film, if you're predisposed to writing action film, this is a great one to look at over and over again, because to Adam's point, the way that the obstacles and the details are laid in are really well done. And I think one of the things that's hardest that I run into a lot, it's hard for young writers to embrace the idea that they have to create obstacles for their protagonists. It is It, by the way, it's labor intensive for a writer. It's not something that you can escape. It's not something that you can get away from. You have to create obstacles for your protagonist. Now, in a reality-based drama, it's a much different pace than with an action film. In fact, it's opposite ends of the spectrum. But this can be a really good exercise for writers writing, or plotting an action film, because again, it's just based on obstacles. And as soon as your protagonist overcomes one, there's another. So I don't want to diminish the I'm gonna have a little bit of a hard time saying artistry, but I'm going to say artistry.
Artistry.
Artistry. I'm going to say artistry of this design. It is. It's so well designed.
Yeah.
Adam, here's where now I'll give you why I have a little bias. The thing that the action genre does not ask you as the writer to do, and by the way, if you do this, it will certainly enhance your script. But what it doesn't ask you to do is to do real, deep, authentic character work, because the action is making the pace move so quickly that those moments that would be spent in with more conflict that are character conflict, those details are spent in action conflict. So you don't have enough room.
But John, first of all, I agree with you in the abstract, but I do think like there are a lot of films that you really, really like that are action movies.
I love action movies.
That you don't give the same critique to. Like, I think this has about as much character development as Indiana Jones does.
Well, I mean, the whole thing though was that he was apparently he was learning over the course of the journey to appreciate his wife, and there was literally none of that happening in the middle. I think that's my major.
Happen.
No, I mean it started and it ended. I don't know if it ever happened.
No, okay. Yeah, Indiana Jones has more character development. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah, what you would do is, for instance, when he says to Al, and even Al is well placed. Al is there. Al is in this movie for one reason, and that's so John can say, "Tell my wife I'm sorry." Now, by the way, and maybe I'm being a little overly critical, but that moment is not earned. He has no interaction with his wife. So when did he come to this epiphany? I don't know.
I think it was a mistake that she wasn't interacting with him more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest problem with the movie.
It is. It's a big.
Here's a point I want to. Veronica brings up a good point, which is
Veronica, what have you got?
I was waiting for John to have to choose between giving up and saving his wife. I thought Hans, when he found out about them being married, would be like, "John, give up or we kill her."
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I was like, "Why isn't this happening?"
Why did he wait so long?
Yes.
That's exactly my point. If I know I got your wife, I'm gonna put a gun to her head. Of course, that's just me. That's who I am.
Wife until the end.
Well, right, exactly. But even then,
you'd want to save her. I'm gonna put my Santa hat back on. I'm feeling very.
There we go.
I gotta get this little way. Hang on. I gotta get. How's that, Alexie? Huh?
Perfect.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Stunning.
Yes. I think.
Wait. I love watching the.
Can we talk about how good the picture was?
What, the picture of them together? It didn't even look like him, if I'm being honest.
No, I mean, like as a Chekhov's gun. And that was there. You're waiting for the whole. Every time he's in that office, sitting there with Ellis, I was just waiting for him to turn around and pick up the picture, but he didn't. They left it there, and they left it there for multiple scenes. Like I thought that was really good.
I think that's one of the things that this film does the best.
Jason said I'm more of a Grinch than Santa. Jason, okay.
I think that one of the things that this movie does the best is setting things up and then paying them off. Like that's one of the places where you can really see the design of it. I think like nothing. Those things aren't arbitrary, like the shoes and all that weird stuff. It all they make sure it all pays off and they set it up early enough that it's
like the first line of the movie is the guy talking to him. It's like, if you want to become really comfortable, get over your fear of flying,
and
take your shoes off, grab the carpet with your toes and make a fist.
No, these guys, these guys are pros. I mean, don't get me wrong, these guys are pros. They know, and they delivered a shooting script. I mean, not a shooting script, but they delivered a script that was ready to go. No, I mean, I'm not taking any away from these guys are really, really good.
I agree.
I want to bring up
Rickman does come in late. Yeah.
Real quick, let's read the question. So Dan asks, does Rickman come in late? They invade the building at 18 minutes in. What's the usual inciting incident time?
I think it works actually. I disagree. I think the end is too long. I don't think they start it too late.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, it's about 18, 15. If you want that to happen. And by the way, again, action film, they're very judicious about this. You want this to happen 18 pages about right. I said it was too long, but no, Rickman shows up. That's about right.
Yeah, it's normally like the rule of thumb is like I've heard 15 to 20 pages in, your inciting incident hits. So at 18 and 1 page a minute, at 18 minutes in, that's right in the
right in the wheelhouse. Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes you meet the antagonist before then, but you don't necessarily have to. Sometimes you meet them a little after too. It's just as long as you have that inciting incident hit.
I guess this hat only cost me $4. Worth every penny. Well, worth every damn penny, isn't it? It looks. By the way, I think it looks like a $5 hat.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It cracked me up when you were like,
what?
It cracked me up when you were like, I'll go to Bloomie's. I'm like, what's a
my wife said, I got to get a hat. I'll go to Bloomingdale's. Janet goes, what are you talking about? Go to the drugstore. I went, oh, really? Okay.
But just Bloomie's. That's something that like I would have never. I'm glad that I had like a friend who grew up here to call it Bloomie's because I had never heard it. Like, it's just such a specific thing. Like, oh, I've never heard that. So
you've never heard that? Yeah, it's called Bloomie's. Yeah, well,
Bloomingdale's.
Sorry, we got a little off subject, didn't we?
Let's go back on.
I'm getting some. I'm getting some kickback here.
So, with there's a question about like what do you guys think the midpoint is? I am convinced. I agree with the chat that it's when the FBI arrive. That's the big game changer.
Yeah.
Where both McClane and the Hans have to change their approach to getting what they want.
So timing, I was saying timing wise, I get confused by a lot of what's happening. Like I wasn't writing my breakdown as it was happening.
Right.
So I feel like to me, I wrote down that it's when he blows up a bunch of stuff with C4 and makes them mad. Like, so now they're definitely not on his side.
Yeah.
But I guess that kind of goes together, right? Because that wasn't too far apart.
Midpoints are sometimes like a sequence of things.
Yeah.
That all achieve the same effect. Like in Inception, it's like 5 bad things all happen within the span of 5 minutes that change the game. Right. It's not just, I don't want to get into Inception, but like, if you guys watch it, you know what I'm talking about. When they start the job, everything goes wrong. But I do think the midpoint ends when the FBI show up.
So there we go.
That's right.
And then for the ultimate test, I was thinking it was that freaking reporter. What do you all think? When he it's sort of like it's like a sequence. It's like a combination of things. It's like the reporter reveals that Holly's his wife, and so he takes her while everyone else goes to the roof.
Right.
It's kind of is my impression there. What do you all think? No?
You think that's the ultimate test?
I think I mean, it's weird because it goes back to her being his wife being a problem. Like it's a weird weird thing where it's
define that the all is lost is kind of the moment where he has the phone call with the guy and he like has the change of heart about like his wife's relationship. Did that happen before or after this?
I don't see. That's the issue is that I can't remember what happened when, and I feel like that's kind of an indicator that maybe those beats aren't hitting quite in the right way. You know, something's like they're not quite emotional enough. Like they had story impact, but there wasn't an emotional thing that was really clear. In the progression wasn't super clear, but they had all the beats. I just don't know what the deal was or how they connected.
Also, John, I think a detail you missed in your outline is that in the final fight, when they're all like, when Hans is like pulling them down, he takes off his wife's Rolex. And that's what causes Hans
her independence, which represents her independence. And John removes it despite being a changed man.
It is an important detail. Because
it is. You're right. You're absolutely right.
You better replace that freaking Rolex. All that.
Yeah. Damn it.
John, do you want to know something that's going to make you hate this movie a lot more?
I don't.
Do you know what the sequel's called?
No.
Die Harder. And he moves to LA to be with his wife, but he's an LAPD officer. They just take him because he's a hero.
So many things haven't aged well about this, but like,
By the way, I just have to say one more thing about the obstacles that you as the writer are creating, and and this is not only with action films, certainly action fiction, but with films, is you want them to accelerate the obstacles accelerate in their degree of difficulty, and with an action film, which is borderline, I'm going to take some grief for this, I'm just going to say it, is borderline cartoon.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment when he wraps a fire hose around his waist and jumps off the roof.
Yeah.
Now,
that was a great moment.
I mean, I don't know. I have to go on the record. I've never wrapped a fire hose around my waist, but I've got a feeling this is just not feasible. But, and here I'm not kidding, but it's a great visual.
Yeah. And
that's why the writers said, and at that point, McTiernan, the director, says, we're not going to kill ourselves with plausibility here. I want visuals. And I think by the way, I think it's great. It's one of my favorite things in the movie. He drops with the
fire
hose wrapped around. He drops and then he hits the window and then he shoots the window out and goes through it. Then the thing's falling and it's by the way, it's great movie stuff.
That reminds me of the fact that it's like, if you're going to put them in in a skyscraper, if you're going to go through the effort of putting them in a skyscraper, then you need to use the building. You need to use the roof. You need to have moments where they're going to fall out of the building. Like all those things that come with the skyscraper have to be used, and they do that really well.
And by the way, I would suggest, if you're going to write this, if you're going to write an action film, go to the location. Walk around it, because what you find embellishes the obstacles that you're going to come up with. And as you know, I mean, this is a building that's called Fox Tower. I used to go to meetings in this building. So that's where you find those pieces, Alexie. That's where you find, the unfinished roof. I had a young man in class a couple years ago, and I can kick myself for this. He came up with he's a really smart kid and a really good writer. And he came up with an action adventure film that took place, and he wasn't really stealing from Die Hard, but anyway, it took place in a building in Manhattan. And I thought, and it was a good pitch. He pitched it really well. And then he started breaking it, and he broke it really well. He did the beat sheet really well. Everything was good. And then he started writing, and I was like, oh my God, he can write this script. But he's writing a movie that cost $200 million. And I thought, my God, what am I going to do? I didn't think he could pull it off. And now he's going to pull it off. And now I can't get managers or agents because they're going to go, John, you got a first-time writer with a $200 million budget movie. How in the hell can I sell that? and he's gone on and he's working now. He's actually starting to work, and he's a great kid. But he loved this genre. He did it really well. It's an expensive genre to write, and I don't know why I get off on that tangent.
Is that so if you do want to write this, like if you're a writer who's not been produced before and you want to write a spec that's like actiony like this, would you advise going for it?
This is not an expensive movie though, like compared to action movies. This is like a $25 million action movie.
Back in the day.
Back then. So like this is like you could make 5 Avengers movies with this budget. So this is like a mid-level.
And they had all the players, the producers, Gordon, and they had all the players in here.
It all takes place in one location.
Yeah, it takes place.
They only had a few sounds. Sorry, continue what you're saying.
And by the way, the studio owned the location.
True. So that's probably a big part of why it wasn't that much money then. So what would you advise to someone who wants to do it? Like, would you set it in a real location? Is it? Go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yeah, if your sensibilities and you're predisposed to write an action film, write them, and don't worry too much about the budget, even though that's counter to what I kind of just said about Hector, the kid who wrote this really great piece. Because what'll happen is when you show that you can put this kind of film on the page, not a lot of people can do this. D'Souza, and Stewart, these guys were really at the top of their game doing this kind of film, and they did this kind of film. And McTiernan, he made Predator, and he made action. He was an action adventure or an action film guy, the director. There is a market, and there is a buyer for action films, because they are not. Even though I'm taking exception a little bit to this film, and maybe too much so, but it's not an easy genre to write. And if you can do it, absolutely do it.
Oh man. So John, I think you might have really offended.
Who did I offend?
A good friend.
Oh God. Oh no.
I heard that Die Hard was actually a transcription of the literal voice of God. That's why it's perfect.
Oh, I didn't take that into account. I guess can I back up a little bit?
The Gospel of McTiernan.
By the way, here's a little anecdote. I just did it. McTiernan, McTiernan turned out. I mean, McTiernan. Should I say that? I'm going to say it anyway. McTiernan did time. He did time. McTiernan has been in jail. I mean, McTiernan. There was Pelicano. There was a group. Pelicano was a PI in LA, and there were some people who were hiring him to spy on ex-wives and stuff. And McTiernan was caught up in that. And McTiernan got busted. And I think he got busted on invasion, fraud. You can lie. I don't know. I bet it was. I was there. I mean, I wasn't there. Don't let me start over. I was in Los Angeles. Yeah, I was in the room. No, I was in Los Angeles when the shit hit the fan on this one. Pelicano was the guy who put a dead fish on some woman's windshield.
What?
Meaning you're going to sleep with the fishes. But McTiernan turned out. I mean, McTiernan, huh?
It's in The Godfather.
I very vividly remember a horse.
McTiernan, his career was flying, and he thought he could do anything. And it turns out that the police had other opinions, and McTiernan went away for, I think, a year or two. And what got me anyway.
Yeah, Gospel McTiernan.
There you go.
He's a martyr.
John, what was it like to visit?
John was involved in a felony. What was it?
What was it like to go to that building?
Fox.
Well, that building. So John Davis is a producer. John Davis had an office in that building, and John Davis's dad was Martin Davis. No, is that his name? Marvin Davis. And for a time, get this. This is true. Am I going off on Alexie? You got to stop me if
this
I
is
go.
A tangent, but
so far we're good.
Okay, so Marvin Davis bought Fox Studios for a while, and his son John says, I want to be a producer. And his dad says, I own the damn studio. You're a producer. So then John bought a script of mine. And I ended up in business with John. And John had an office. I go like that, like I'm in the tower. But he had an office in that tower. And so I used to go to meetings in that tower, and it was just magnificent. And the views from there, you could actually see the ocean. That's in Century City, but you could see the ocean from John's office. So one day I go to a meeting with John, like maybe 2:30 in the afternoon. And I get there, and when I walk into the building, like these two big guys in blue suits just step in front of me. Like they're going to kick my ass. I mean, like, what the fuck? So they said, what are you doing here? And I said, I got to check in. I'm John Warren. And they walked me over to the desk, and I say, I'm going up to see John Davis. And they say, okay, and some talk. And these guys walk over to the elevators with me, like and I noticed they've got they've got earpieces in their ears. So I'm like, shit, man, what's going on? So I get up to John's office, and I go in and say, hey, John. And I go, man, it's weird. These two guys in blue suits. He said, oh, yeah, that's Secret Service. And I said, Secret Service in the building? He goes, yeah. He said, Ronald Reagan's office is in this building. I said, no shit. He goes, yeah, Ronald Reagan's office is in this building. And he said, I just had lunch. My dad and I just had lunch with President, no longer president. He was no longer president, obviously, because he would have been in the White House. Anyway, so he said, we just had lunch. And he said, we got in cars, because they all had cars and drivers and shit. And we got in cars to drive back. And I got back to the building. I walked into the lobby, and there's President Reagan standing in the lobby, getting ready to go with these two Secret Service, getting ready to get in the elevator. And I said, hello, Mr. President. And he looked at me like he didn't know who I was. And I said, you had just had lunch with him? He said, yeah. He said, he's got dementia. He said, I had lunch with him 15 minutes earlier. And when I saw him in the building, he didn't recognize me. It's really weird.
Sucks.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
But John Davis is a good guy, actually. Funny guy. It's weird to be in business with a guy who's that rich, because his outlook on the world is not like anybody else's,
Yeah, I can imagine that.
You had conversations with him that didn't compute. He'd say, I love my Maserati. All my car. He actually said this to me once. Of all my cars, my Maserati is my favorite. Well, I don't know what to say. I go, yeah, well, mine too. What do you know about that? We have that in common. But he actually said it. Isn't that funny? Sorry. Adam, you look like you're bored.
No. I was just answering questions in the chat.
What are the questions? What's going on?
Well, real quick, what year was this, John? What year was this, real quick?
Year was this? 1990. I don't know, 1990. Pretty early in my career. No, must have been 80. I don't know, 1992. I don't know.
Something in there. So
yeah.
Do we
have questions?
Yeah.
Adam,
did you want to pull one?
What his flaw and what his inner need was, and who the mentor was related to the inner need. And the flaw and inner need, in my interpretation, was his flaw was evident in his first fight in the bathroom with her, where he was saying, where she was like, he couldn't accept that she changed her last name. And he got upset with her for moving to LA. And
like
basically,
a child.
basically he was being immature and being like, I can't accept that you have this ambitious career.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about the movie is that he doesn't resolve his flaw through actual conversation with her. He just sort of does it on his own. But in the phone call with Sergeant Powell, he somehow comes to the realization, and during the all is lost moment, he's like, I said I love you many times, but I should have said I'm sorry for not accepting your career and not accepting these changes and being stubborn and not moving to LA with you. Like that.
But it was unearned.
I mean, a little bit, but it did happen, and that's what matters. Like, it did happen, and
yeah,
so in that sense, Sergeant Powell was his mentor.
Yeah, that's right.
Right after, though, it was like they're gonna go home, they're gonna have a nice week, and then they're gonna be right back to where they were, with him being a little pissy, wanting to be back in NY, wanting to be back.
Get home and he's gonna say,
he moves
honey,
out
what's for dinner?
He moves out for her in the sequel.
But see, that's just not realistic.
Well, but he does.
All this was realistic, but no.
Right, you didn't miss my last name. But just to bring up H. Spencer's point of view, point. The problem was that overcoming his flaw had no connection to his objective. But if his objective was, okay, I don't think his objective was kill the bad guys. It was rescue the hostages, and killing the bad guys was a means to that end.
See, here's why I think it was kill the bad guys. Because he was never doing anything. He was never interacting with the hostages. He wrote out a list of the people on his arm so that he could try to make sure he was taking them all out. And he never did anything to, like, he could have easily snuck out a few hostages at some point if that was really his goal.
Right, maybe.
I think it was specifically kill the bad guys, because that was the only thing that he seemed to be like actively going for. I think it was just kill them all.
Yeah, but it's a little more focused than that in the movie. I don't know. Like, I feel like wrote kill the bad guys as your objective, like that's kind of weak.
It is weak, but I think that's what it was.
But I didn't feel that way then, in your opinion.
What?
Well, I mean, for me, it felt maybe it's because they were constrained in the environment. Like, he had to kill the bad guys, or else he was going to die. So, like, the stakes and the the constriction of the environment is what makes it work.
Yeah, I don't know.
It does work. It does work. Like that there are problems in the movie, but I don't think it's the fact that he's like doesn't have a strong objective.
I think it's kill the bad guys, and then at the end, the whole thing is trying to kill the baddest of all guy.
Yeah,
Hans. but it does feel specific, and there's momentum constantly throughout Act 2.
But towards what?
To the resolute, to like the.
But you see what I mean, though.
No, but I think it works because they're all in one building and the stakes are constantly being raised. Like, I do think it works.
No, I do think it works. I just think that it works with... No, yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it works, but I think that the objective is he's trying to take them all out. Because I don't see him actively trying to do anything else. Like, he's not trying to get to his wife. He's not trying to, like, find a way to let the hostages out the back door. He's like, all he's doing is gearing up and taunting them and killing them, you know? Which, good for him.
More fun than him. I think it's more fun, but I think a better version would have been him trying to more actively save the protagonist, save the hostages.
I think so too. This actually brings up a good question from Abdullah that I want to pull up, which is, John mentioned a hypothetical diamond tug-of-war between John McClane and Hans Gruber. And you said that it would be a more linear choice. Can you explain? Should that be a goal when you're writing?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't. Well, I mean, it's something you want to consider, because we're having this conversation. We don't quite know, or we have a disagreement about what the objective is, and there probably was a conversation with McTiernan and Stewart and D'Souza about just this, because, by the way, the structure it's all there, it's really solid, and it has to be in this genre. But if Hans wants bonds, I'm just saying, in a story meeting, somebody would have said, then Willis must want to keep bonds out of Hans's hands. That's the pull, because there are ways around this. This rule is broken all the time, but you want to think carefully about breaking this rule, because it can cause you a real conundrum. It can cause you real issues. So if Willis is trying to get to the bonds, to keep them out of Hans's hand, then you have more direct conflict. Then where you put those bonds is just kind of exacerbates the push and pull. I think I said maybe a diamond. I'm just playing with it.
Wasn't C4 kind of fulfilling that function?
But they didn't really make it that function. The C4 they play with, but they don't go there.
Right.
Yeah,
no,
they don't.
But it was a thing. It was
a
they
thing.
were
It was
eventually.
And by
it was
the way,
like
I think you could go back. Well, I think you could go back and say that Willis's objective is a little vague.
Yeah.
Now, I think they still pull it off, but yeah.
I think it works, but I think
anyway, Abdullah, does that make sense? I hope that I'm articulating that. So I'm not making an argument that they should have, rewrite the movie, but I'm saying that you as writers really would have to consider this, and you would what they did is a little risky. It works because they keep the action going, and because McTiernan was an action director and he just kept it going all the time.
Yeah, I think it was like Martine asks why Gruber getting the bonds and diamonds is of no consequence to the hostages. McClane's not there to fight crime. He's there to save hostages and his wife. And that's where I disagree, because I don't actually see him actively doing anything specific about the hostages or his wife. Like, I see him trying to kill the bad guys, but I don't see him do one thing to try to free the hostages.
He's trying to. I do think he's killing the bad guys with the motivation of protecting his wife. Like, he's doing it to save her, but he's not actually trying to save her. Like, logistically, he's trying to kill the bad guys before they kill her.
And that's and I think
go ahead, Alexie.
I was saying, I think that John's point about giving him the specific objective wouldn't structurally, like, it wouldn't change what's happening on the screen, really. Like, it wouldn't change the feel of the movie. It would change his motivation for what he's doing and why. So if it was something, if it was the C4, if they said that, like, John has to get the C4 before Hans blows it up, then that would be something really, really clear, where we can see on the screen he is trying to get to the C4.
And you put that C4 on the 60th floor. So then it becomes a race to get there. Who can get there?
And Martine just brought up the fact that there's a less of a connection between him and the bonds. And that's exactly
that's my point.
Case. That's exactly the case. You'd have to give it a reason. You'd have to make a reason why those matter. And that's the whole critique. It's just that, go ahead.
So
no, you go ahead. You got it.
So I think one of the reasons this works is because there's a subplot that they constantly cut away to while John's sitting there doing nothing. And
I thought he was referring to me.
Oh, no, the subplot. We're in your life, John. No, but like, we're constantly going to, all right, but where are the police? And what are they going to try and do? Like, we're like there's a lot of narrative attention that comes from, like, well, the call went out. Yep. No. Oh, the newspaper reporter, he's coming out. Like, they cut away when John's doing nothing.
The
police trying to do something.
Yeah.
And the police's objective is A, to try to figure out what the fuck's going on and communicate with John and get information, try to piece things together. But then B, try to ham-fistedly, just jump in there. And then the FBI show up. Like, they get away with, I think, some drift by, like, cutting away to police stuff.
Yeah. I think it's something that they do, to give credit where credit is due, something that they handle very, very well is the motivation for a lot of things. Like, I feel like in an earlier draft of this, John might not have taken their detonators. And I feel like in the film school first draft version, John wouldn't have taken their detonators, and the bad guys would just be trying to kill John. And then you would get the note, like, why do they care about him? Like, he's just running around the tower being annoying. Why do they care about him? So they gave him
They wanted to lock him on that floor, being like, oh, he doesn't matter. As long as he's locked in,
right.
Don't engage with him, until they realize, oh shit, he's got the C4. We need that.
Yeah, and so I think that was really smart, because that's a mistake that I feel like happens a lot in early drafts. Is it's like, well, I want them to be fighting. It's like, well, then give them a reason. Like, what? Then there has to be a reason. It can't just be that he's annoying.
And I think it ties in perfectly with what I think the film gets away. The reason it gets away with maybe a little bit of protagonist drift is there's always a clear, driving, compelling source of plot from Hans. We know he's going to trick the FBI. We know what his plan is for that. We know that when the grid goes off, he can open that lock. Like, we know that constantly, no matter what the police do, his objective will move forward from that. And like, that creates kind of interest, I think.
I have an actual, not quite like hot take, but like an opinion. So the fact, as the years have gone on, I feel like our sympathies have changed as an audience of like who we really sympathize with here.
Right.
Like, it's hard for it's hard for me to be like, oh no, poor organization, they're gonna get robbed. Like, and then also this like, they want us to sympathize with this cop who killed an innocent kid. Like, it's not. It's really.
That moment is a jump off the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
because it's 1988. It was a different. Also, if you redid this movie now, I mean, just think about it. There would be a lot more. Holly and John would be together a lot more in this movie.
She would be fighting.
She would be
main. She would be.
She would have bloody feet. I think she would have bloody feet. I'd really.
Yeah. She'd be the one who wasn't an idiot and didn't take her shoes off. You know? She
hit him with her shoe.
Yeah.
You fool.
You fool. And she would win.
Can I make an argument for stupidity?
I would. I bet you can.
Wait. So I feel like there's a huge. It's a disservice, I think, to the audience to make our protagonists, who we want to seem super badass, we overpower them. We make them too smart, too intelligent. I feel like it's always better to give a protagonist a lot of limitations and weaknesses, and then one thing they do really well.
I agree.
And I feel like in this movie, oh my God, the FBI are so dumb. The cops are so dumb. John McClane, he's handy, but he's kind of, he's reacting because he's a step behind most of the time. Like, you never get a sense that like he's like the perfect he's not like a John Wick who's like so fast and so like, smart or whatever. I feel like a lot of modern action protagonists are too smart, too qualified, too good at fighting. I like people to fail. Like, I like to watch people who aren't good try to succeed anyway. That's more interesting.
Yeah. And yeah. By the way, somebody asked here a good, I mean, I don't know why it came to mind, but Billy Ray wrote this movie. What's that movie Billy Ray wrote? It's based on a true story. Tom Hanks plays the captain on the ship.
Oh. Wait.
Oh, Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips.
Oh yeah,
that's an excellent. I don't know. I guess that qualifies as an action film, but that's an excellent action film. That just comes to mind. I love that film. It's so and it's so well. It's so smart. That's one. By the way, I quick aside. This coffee class thing that we do. Man, I wish I'd had this. I hope this isn't self-serving. Maybe it is. I wish I'd had this when I was starting out, because this conversation, it doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong, who's opinion, all that. It matters that you're being analytical about story, so that you go to your action movie or your script that you're going to write, and you're asking the right questions. And all of these questions that come in, I think, are really smart, and they're really. I hope that they've. Help to inform the group that's here. And it seems that way to me. I mean, I think that our questions get more and more sophisticated, more and more interesting, and it's really nice. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. The idea that I thought it was amusing that they briefly tried to do Hans as like him saying that he wanted to free all these people. Remember, like, his demands were like these things. At that moment, I was like, okay, I could switch sides.
I can be on his team.
Yeah, and then they had to make it be like, no, just kidding. He just wants money, because otherwise, like, it's just too much sympathy. Like, it's not quite sympathy because he's murdered a bunch of people and stuff.
I did like the moment where John went to him and was like, so you're just a thief, right? He's like, a good thief. Like,
yeah.
There are a lot of really.
There's so many great lines in this. That's the other thing, is that,
Also, this was Alan Rickman's first ever movie.
Really?
Yeah.
right?
What a
Was he
Was primarily a theater actor before this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he didn't become an actor till his 30s.
He's so
but this
good.
was his first movie role ever, and he killed it. Like
Yeah.
he stole the movie. The movie
He
would
is
be
so
forgotten if it wasn't for him.
Freaking Alan. Alan.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen. I've mentioned this before, but John Lawton. We live next door to each other in L.A. And John, I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's accurate. But he told me that he saw this film, and he went home and wrote Under Siege, and lifted the storyline from Die Hard, and then Under Siege was made with the great Steven Seagal.
Well, lots of people rewrote Die Hard after they saw it. I think, like, it was a joke, like, okay, we're gonna do Die Hard on a train.
Yeah, and he did Die Hard on a boat. Yeah, and
I feel like
Under Siege is Die Hard on a boat.
I feel like Home Alone had a lot of parallels to this too, but I don't know which one happened first.
I mean, but John Hughes was. I mean, I don't know why I'm defending John Hughes. John Hughes was his own man. That guy. I mean, there's a guy who understood a genre and could write it like nobody else, and he just wrote, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink. He just could write them, man.
He was on a roll for a while anyway. I'm not a big John Hughes fan.
I'm not a big, but what he did.
Talk about Breakfast Club for a second.
Yeah.
That ending.
Oh God, I can't remember it. What is
hate. So go to tangent for a second. So it's like all the jock, the nerd, the weirdo, they all they're all in detention together, and they all like come together and like form friendships. Except the nerd guy who's like a scholarship, all the kids make him write their essays for him, and he doesn't get everybody hooks up except for him. So they all leave like, oh yeah, you're gonna do our essays for you, and he loses his scholarship, and like it's like they frame it like a happy ending. Everybody's so happy. I didn't remember it. But this kid, he lost his scholarship, he didn't get a girlfriend, and he has to write the fucking essays for everybody, pretending to be them. Like they're bullying him, and they like frame.
Well, that's like Ferris Bueller. They bully. What's his name? The Cameron? Is that his name? The friend?
Yeah.
They're horrible to him the whole time.
Oh, and then
John Hughes.
The scene with his dad's car though was really good.
I guess John Hughes film. I'm sure they're dated. I haven't seen him in years, but the way he turned them out, and they were popcorn movies. But man, he could write them, and he knew, and he was very much structured storytelling.
Home Alone's the best one.
What?
Which one?
Home Alone is the best one.
Home Alone is amazing.
It's a really good movie.
I had been trying to analyze that before.
It's a little too close to home. Yeah, definitely.
Home Alone is really good. Yeah.
So, John, do you want to do a line reading for us?
A line reading? Sure. What? I don't know. What is it? What? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! It's time. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Is that what he says? How's he say it? Yeah.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay. Yeah, it's ki-yay. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
There you go.
Wait, I should do it with my hand.
Did you say motherfucker again?
I know. I'm not allowed to.
Wait. How did you say it? How did you say it? Did you say
motherfucker? Motherfucker.
He said with an A.
Is that wrong? It works better when I have my hat on.
It does.
Yippee-ki-yay. Other buckets. I like that.
Mother bucket. Other bucket.
Yeah.
There you go.
Go ahead.
I thought this movie's great.
Hey, wait. Hang on. I'm finding something.
My hat look gets better and better. I'm starting to get a real feel for the hat. Have you noticed that?
I can tell that you really like it.
How long did it take you to get through this movie, John?
About 3 hours.
Wow.
So you just kept having to get up and leave and come back. And
at least it wasn't Bridget Jones, which took you 4 hours.
At least it wasn't.
I almost killed myself with Bridget Jones. You almost lost me there.
At least it wasn't my favorite film, Short Term 12, which you just never watched.
No, I never watched that.
I know.
Wait. So you're saying Bridget Jones took longer for you to break down than Lord of the Rings did?
Not break, watch.
Watch.
Because I keep having to step away and find a reason not to jump out the window.
Because it's half as long.
Well, Lord of the Rings is 20. It's 20 hours long, isn't it?
Yeah.
In its entirety, it's like 13.
No, I just meant the first one.
Oh, the first one is it's 3.5 hours, and then if the extended edition is 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's great.
Yeah. So I got a year older watching that fucking movie.
Is this a thing?
Sorry. What?
Is this a thing? I saw.
Oh, the white tank top. Yeah, and it became brown at some. When did he spilt coffee on it halfway through the film? I guess I don't see that.
That was blood, John.
Is that blood from his feet?
Yeah, he wiped
like
his
people
feet.
dying on top of him and shit.
Oh my god, that's so gruesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty gross movie. Especially the feet stuff at the end was like hard for me to watch. It was great though.
Ugh.
Also, like the fact like Hans shooting the glass.
John admitted
he was barefoot. Like that is great writing. Like it's not just senseless like action.
Yeah, but like let's be realistic. Adam, you're hanging on the side of a building by a fire hose.
No, that's not
you're
what
trying
I'm
to you're trying to bust in the window.
That's not what I'm talking about.
You gotta be like, ow, this is gonna hurt my feet. No. You're gonna shoot the window, you're gonna kick it in.
Every time I've ever done that, it killed my feet.
So John, were you wrong about Die Hard?
I guess I was.
It was great.
It was great.
And Dilla, I was defending Die Hard for you.
I don't dislike Die Hard. I'm just able to look at it from all perspectives. You know, you gotta be able to be honest.
The story is that you should, if you're a wife with a deadbeat cop husband who doesn't want you to have a upward mobility, you should stay where you are and not take that great job in LA. Don't become an executive. Stay a cop's wife in New York, or else,
and be happy about it.
Yeah,
right, Adam. That's not me saying that. That's what Adam was saying. I think.
No, that's the real moral of the story.
That's that's Adam's grand takeaway. You're welcome.
There you go. Great thumbs up.
Oh man.
Do you think Bruce and his stunt double shared the tank top? That's a good question.
Bruce did all of his own stunts, John.
Did he? No. Tom Cruise does. Hey, Tom Cruise
does most of his.
I saw the whole behind the scenes,
didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, did I see that?
Understandably. Where he told everyone off for not wearing a mask. Look, he had a point.
Yeah.
He had a point.
Hey, John, you should at least be grateful that I didn't force you to watch Love Actually again.
Again? He's seen it before?
You haven't seen Love Actually?
I don't think. What is?
Why would John see Love Actually?
Yeah,
it's a famous movie. Of course, he's seen it.
No, he hasn't.
I don't believe I've seen. I don't know.
Oh my God, John!
Yeah.
We'll talk offline about this. So it's a British film that's like an ensemble cast. That's like 12 intersecting storylines of all these people on Christmas, and it's got a who's, and it started this horrible trend of holiday themed movies with like all-star casts and these like little intersecting storylines. But it's a pretty
was Taylor Swift in one, or did I make that up?
Yeah, she was. New Year's Day, and it was really
boy.
You know, along those lines, have you guys seen 4 Weddings and a Funeral?
No.
Yeah, no, same writer.
Oh,
the guy who wrote Love Actually.
I knew there was a connection there.
Richard Curtis.
Richard Curtis is a good writer.
He's the king of the British Hugh Grant rom-com.
That's a very specific.
It is a very specific thing.
Hey, wait, what was that conversation we had weeks ago? And I can't. I was trying to tell my daughters this. Hugh Grant and Colin Firth. Did we have this conversation? Who aged better? Who's still? And I couldn't remember. I got it backwards.
I gotta look them up. I gotta look them up.
Yeah, Bruce Willis made it cool for action heroes to be bald. I told the story about Kevin McNeely buying Bruce Willis's ticket to LA, right?
Yep.
Wait, so Colin Firth and who's the other one?
Hugh Grant.
I'm gonna pull this up and we're all gonna vote.
Hugh Grant, though, he was very
Hugh Grant was in Cloud Atlas, so immediately Colin Firth has aged better.
Have you read the book Cloud Atlas, Adam?
I have opinions.
Everyone.
But have you read the book? Huh?
I read the book. Yeah, David Mitchell.
I got to read it, Mitchell. I've got to read Mitchell.
It's a great book.
I haven't read anything
about
by
a great
Mitchell.
movie. And I'm a big Wachowski fan. Like I love the Wachowskis.
They're funny. Their characters.
I'm really trying to
wait, you're saying? Oh, so what is the vote here? What is the vote? This is really important.
They look really freaking similar.
Do they look similar?
Yeah.
No.
I'm having a hard time deciding.
Lane lost his team first.
Wait, Alexie. I think Colin Firth does not have boyish charms, whereas he's got like a more set jaw.
Yeah.
And whereas Hugh Grant has boyish good looks, and boyish good looks fade faster than the heavy set features. And I think for that reason, Colin Firth makes it ahead.
No,
Adam, I love about Adam has a theory, and I mean this as a compliment. You have a theory about things that I don't expect you to have theories about. I mean, there are things that you say, I have a theory about this, and I go, yeah, I knew you were going to have a theory about that. But the idea that you've got a theory about Hugh Grant and Colin Firth, I just didn't see
I have thought about this and had this discussion with people many times.
May I say, Adam, as a friend, you shouldn't give this any more thought. You really shouldn't.
Everyone in the chat agrees with me.
Hired a prostitute when he was married.
I settled on.
Not only did he hire a prostitute, he hired a prostitute on Hollywood Boulevard, which is kind of like, as low as you can go.
This is, I think it's Hugh Grant. That is the answer.
Really?
We have
like that boyish, like smarm.
Smarm.
No, I mean smarmy. I think he's first of all, I'm a Hugh Grant fan. I think he's an underrated actor. I don't think he's a versatile actor. He's kind of like Owen Wilson in that he does exactly one thing.
Hugh Grant does? Yeah, he only does one.
Hugh Grant does one thing.
He does one thing. When he does that stutter thing.
Hey, look, everyone agrees with me. Everyone in the comments has agreed with me, and here's one example that proves
No.
Let me before we go, let me just say one thing. Bonnie Bedelia.
Who?
Didn't see that one coming. Who?
I have no idea who that is.
Holly.
Oh, yeah, she wins.
Bonnie Bedelia made a film probably before any of you were born. That's a really, really good film. It's called Heart Like a Wheel. And it's a really good film. Bonnie Bedelia stars in it, and she stars as a race car driver, a dirt track race car driver, and it's a fantastic movie. You might put it on your list. Bonnie Bedelia, Heart Like a Wheel.
Huh. So we should probably talk about what's happening.
What is happening?
Week and this weekend. So next week, I don't think John can make it, but it's on Christmas Day, and we are doing Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, fuck, I love that movie.
I know, so you could stop by if you want, but if you all are also stuck for the holidays, we are too, and you can feel free to join us.
Who's breaking it? I might chime in because I love that film.
You should.
That's a really good movie.
Adam's
You're breaking it? Somebody said Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp looks like shit, doesn't he?
Yeah, Johnny Depp looks terrible. Both Colin Firth and Hugh Grant have aged better. If we're talking about like smarmy white bad boys from the 90s.
Smarmy white bad boy.
Wait, isn't it Steve Carell? Like Silver Fox. Steve Carell.
Steve Carell has aged better than
everyone.
I think Colin is like in a different tier though. Like Colin's
Nightmare Before Christmas. What is it?
Let's get back on.
You don't want to look at. Okay, fine. I was handling it.
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas. John, you are welcome to join us. Everybody's welcome to join us.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is that tomorrow we have two things happening this weekend. Tomorrow, if you're in our writer's room, we're going to be analyzing 3 scenes from Die Hard in depth. So looking at the screenplay together. And if you want to join the writer's room, you can check the description. And then on Sunday, we're doing a very special event with our favorite horror aficionado. I don't know how to say that word.
You said it.
Our horror guy in the house. Avi's joining us at 12 at noon Eastern time on Sunday, and we're gonna outline a movie on the spot. It's a horror film. We don't have anything planned. We want to hear what you all think. And Avi's prompt for us is bees. So it's a horror movie about bees.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah,
that's gonna be great.
We're gonna make it up on the spot, hopefully with all of your contributions, and build out a tentpole document. And so that's at noon on Sunday, and we hope you can make it.
And also, Monday's the debut of the podcast.
Yeah, that it
We've
is.
got so much stuff going on, guys.
I know there's a lot.
This is a high dense period where we've figured out a bunch of shit and we're now putting it all out at once. So we apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you haven't got a chance to check out Writing the Scene, that's open too. Just so you know.
I really like it. How many
and Writing the Feature
we have for Writing the Scene?
How many what?
How many people have signed up for Writing the Scene as of right now?
Several thousand.
Several thousand. You guys should do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. People like it.
Yeah. And then there's obviously Writing the Feature too, but that's just everything happening ever.
Yeah, and if you haven't taken Writing the Feature, enrollment for the first January class closes on January 4th. So that's going to be cool.
So they can sign up. They can sign up now for it.
They can sign up for all our stuff. All of our stuff. It's going. Writing the Scene, Writing the Feature.
Yeah,
we're just pumping out content.
We're selling bagels. We're selling bagels on the side. Are we not?
They have John's face on
them. We have a Young Screenwriters Moonshine.
Yeah.
From John's basement.
Yep.
Yeah. From Bloomies.
From Bloomies. Made it in his hat. And
like in his hat. This may be not seasonal. It may be all year round. Because I think it's pretty damn good.
Nice.
Well, for you, John, anything is an improvement.
I like how John is playing the guy in the commercial who is clueless, asking all the right questions. That's me. And by the way, what you'll find, and one of my best things is playing the guy who's clueless. I do that 24/7. I have my arms around the guy who's clueless.
In John's defense,
is such a whore.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite things about you, John. Actually,
yeah. Well, by the way, it's my favorite thing about me too. But I will say that frequently when you might think that I'm pretending to be clueless, I might be clueless.
I actually think I hadn't updated you on how many
I
people
didn't know.
By
the way, I didn't know what was Saturday. I didn't know anything. I don't. Truth is,
we have our Monday meeting, which we update John, and
we do. Yeah, and I'm there at 10 a.m. on Monday. 10 a.m. We're doing our podcast. By the way, email me because I don't know what we're doing. Podcast.
We'll figure it out.
I will send you an email, John.
Yeah, do that so I won't be clueless.
Yeah, off camera.
Clueless,
we're going to figure it out.
Name. That's a title for a movie. I think.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you this weekend and then next week for Nightmare Before Christmas. And if not, then we will see you next year.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.